We often believe that mastering our emotions means fighting against them, reacting impulsively, speaking up, or asserting our views. But what if I told you that true strength doesn't lie in what you say, but in what you choose not to say? That silence, intentional and controlled, is one of the most powerful tools for emotional mastery. In a world where everyone seems to have an opinion, where emotions are often treated as weaknesses to be overcome, we are conditioned to respond immediately to every situation. The louder we speak, the more others believe we have control. Yet the Stoics knew that it is not in what we say that true emotional mastery lies, but rather in what we choose not to say. Silence is not a mere absence of noise. It is a powerful presence, a sign of emotional strength that speaks louder than words could ever hope to. Stoicism doesn't teach us to suppress our emotions with cold logic or to deny their existence. Instead, it calls us to observe, understand, control, and transform our emotional responses. A Stoic does not aim to eliminate emotion, but to understand it deeply and learn how to manage it with wisdom. Through silence, a Stoic achieves a unique kind of strength, a quiet power that allows them to face life's challenges with unshakable composure. This is not just philosophical theory, it is a time-tested way of living. The wisdom passed down through the ages by history's greatest thinkers is not only practical, but life-changing. What follows is not a collection of abstract ideas, but a guide to mastering your emotions and your mind, distilled from the principles of Stoicism. This wisdom was not written for those seeking quick fixes or temporary relief, but for those who are ready to make a profound shift from within. So pay attention, for with each word, you are taking another step toward becoming the strongest, most self-possessed version of yourself. 1. Pause before reacting. There exists a delicate yet profoundly important gap between reaction and response, a space that separates an impulsive outburst from a thoughtful reply. We encounter emotionally charged situations constantly, harsh criticism, painful misunderstandings, deliberate provocations. In these moments, our instincts urge us to react immediately. It's human nature. Yet those who strive for wisdom, those who practice Stoicism, understand that pausing before responding is the gateway to inner peace, self-control, and true freedom. The power of the pause, Epictetus, one of the most revered Stoic philosophers, once said, "If someone succeeds in provoking you, realize that your mind is complicit in the provocation. If someone manages to anger you, recognize that your mind has allowed itself to be provoked." This simple yet powerful truth holds immense strength. No one can force you to react impulsively unless you permit it. In fact, the ability to pause before responding is one of the most essential practices in cultivating emotional mastery. Consider this. Imagine yourself in a high-stakes meeting. You're presenting an idea that you've worked on for weeks, and suddenly, a colleague interrupts with a sarcastic remark. Your pride is wounded, your face flushes with heat, and every fiber of your being screams for a sharp rebuttal. Yet, instead of allowing your emotions to dictate your actions, you choose to pause. You take a deep breath, sit with your feelings for a few moments, and ask yourself, is this response rooted in wisdom, or is it driven by anger? Is it necessary to react right now, or can I choose a more measured response? This simple pause grants you the opportunity to choose how to respond, if at all. When you do so, you retain not only your inner calm, but also the respect of those around you. Others begin to see you not as someone easily rattled by external circumstances, but as someone who commands control over their emotional responses. Ironically, when you do not react immediately, the other person may feel unsettled. Your silence becomes a powerful tool, far more impactful than any words you might say in haste. 2. Silence as a tool of strength and control. In a society that glorifies constant action, the ability to remain silent can seem counterproductive or even weak. Silence in the modern world is often misunderstood, yet the Stoics embraced silence as a means of regaining control, of cultivating inner peace, and of exercising strength in the face of adversity. This silence is not a passive retreat from life's challenges. It is an active engagement with one's inner wisdom. Silence as a bridge to stillness. To be silent is not to suppress emotions or to deny them, but to create the space to observe them without reacting immediately. In the stillness, we can witness the rise of anger, frustration, or anxiety, and choose whether we will allow those emotions to control us. It is through the practice of silence that we can transform our emotional reactions, not by force, but through mindful observation. Imagine you are facing a difficult situation, a personal loss, a stressful moment at work, a relationship challenge. Instead of reacting impulsively, you choose to sit in silence, to reflect, and to embrace the stillness. You realize that in that silence, there is strength. You are not running from your emotions, but allowing them to pass through you without clinging to them. Like clouds drifting across the sky, your emotions arrive, stay for a moment, and then move on. By embracing silence, we stop being at the mercy of our emotions. Silence allows us to pause and reflect, to create a space where we can regain perspective. Rather than reacting from a place of emotional turmoil, we respond with clarity, with wisdom, and with self-mastery. 3. Silence as a tool of influence. While words can build and destroy, silence, when wielded with intention, is a tool of influence more powerful than any speech. Throughout history, wise leaders and philosophers have understood this principle. They knew that silence was not just a passive withdrawal, but a force of quiet authority that shaped their actions and decisions. The Stoic influence of silent leadership. In moments of tension or conflict, many believe that the louder they speak, the more they will be heard. However, in practice, the louder we speak, the more we risk alienating others or being misunderstood. Silence, on the other hand, creates an opening for others to speak, to reflect, and to come to their own conclusions. It gives room for reflection, for thought, and for deeper understanding. Consider the example of Marcus Aurelius, one of the most notable Stoic emperors of Rome. His leadership was defined not just by his actions, but by his ability to remain composed, to sit with his emotions, and to act with calm deliberation. Marcus was renowned for his ability to lead not through forceful words, but through silent strength. His private meditations, which he wrote down in moments of solitude, guided his decisions and actions. These meditations shaped the principles by which he governed, ensuring that his responses were based not on emotional impulses, but on careful reflection and wisdom. The power of silent influence. In today's world, the ability to influence others without resorting to loud speech or aggressive rhetoric is an invaluable skill. Silence doesn't just convey composure, it commands respect, generates curiosity, and compels others to listen, not because of what we say, but because of what we don't say. This is a key component of Stoic leadership, understanding that the power to influence others lies not in the noise we make, but in the strength of our silence. When faced with conflict, remember that silence can be a response as powerful as any spoken word. When others seek to provoke, rather than rising to the bait, you choose to remain silent. Your silence becomes a statement of control, of authority, and of wisdom. As a result, others may come to respect you more, not because of your words, but because of the strength you demonstrate by withholding them when necessary. 4. Silence as the gateway to inner peace. The most profound form of silence is that which we create within ourselves. Inner peace is achieved not by silencing the external world, something that is impossible, but by learning to silence the internal chatter of the mind. Stoicism teaches us that true peace comes not from external circumstances, but from the cultivation of a quiet, calm mind. The stillness of the mind. When we experience emotional turbulence, it is easy to get caught up in the storm of thoughts and feelings. We may be overwhelmed by anger, fear, or frustration, and in these moments our minds race with worries and judgments. But it is in these very moments that we must learn to be still. We must remember that we are not our emotions. We are the observer of those emotions. Through silence, we can detach from the emotional storm and find the peace that lies beneath it. In the practice of Stoic meditation, we learn to sit with our emotions, to let them rise and fall like the tide, without letting them control us. We understand that emotions are temporary. They come and go. By embracing silence, we create the mental space to let those emotions pass without clinging to them or reacting impulsively. Over time, this practice builds resilience, emotional clarity, and inner strength. Conclusion: the silent strength of Stoicism.